Hi guys, how we doing? So, we are back at it. I am going to go back to the paper towels for the time being, just because we need to now build up the bottom to kind of start meeting in the middle a little bit. But hopefully this is going to hold up for a little while. I do have it kind of laying on something to keep it from rolling around. So hopefully we're actually going to finish getting her rounded today. That is my goal. I really want to get back to my base. So I'm really hoping we can get this nice and pretty and round, or at least round enough that I feel like it's passable, and can move on to finishing up the base and getting everybody primered. Now, one thing I will probably do before I primer this ball that I won't end up showing is I will be clear coating over the plaster before I primer. It just kind of solidifies it a little bit more, keeps it from breaking down, because the plaster does like to break down in water, which obviously for an outside piece we can't be having that. But there's definitely workarounds, which we're going to do a few of those, so we'll get it nice and sealed up. I may do a thin layer of concrete over top. I don't know yet. We're going to see kind of what it looks like. We've tried quite a few different methods at this point, so maybe at the end of today we'll add a little bit of concrete to our plaster mix and just go over top that way. But for now, we just need to thicken out this top, and which is really kind of a fun, well, I'm on the bottom now, aren't I? Not the top. It's a fun process. I actually enjoy getting my hands dirty. And as you can see, I do have my watch back on the right hand again. Well, correct hand, as opposed to being on my right hand. And I also have my finger no longer bandaged. So those are two things that are definitely, in my eyes, happy bonuses. The sore finger and the sore wrist were not fun things to deal with last week. And I do apologize for sitting Thursday out. I do have to take a day off once in a while. Boy, that made a difference right off the bat, didn't it? So this is going to be just kind of a slow add a layer, add a layer, add a layer process until we get it to the point where we can just kind of roll right on down to the top again. I do want to secure this bottom just a little bit more because it was a little looser than I would have liked. Some of the previous layers didn't necessarily seal in, so we'll work with that a little bit. And just slowly but surely kind of shape her out a little to where we want her to be. And as you can see, it is working pretty quickly, actually. And if need be, later on, we can go back and just kind of brush over top of this like we did on this side. which obviously we're going to have to do a couple more layers down here as well. The goal right now is just get it nice and smooth and round and make it pretty. This is definitely quicker work than the brushing over the top was. So I didn't forget to put my phone on Do Not Disturb this time, so at least we do have that go on for us. I always am concerned the days that I realize I forgot to do that. Because even though I keep my phone on silent, so you guys won't hear a ton of noises, it is on vibrate. So I do try not to allow those disturbances. Now we're getting somewhere. So the basic goal here is just to thicken and round her out a little. Make her nice and smooth and just a little bit more passable as a ball. Which I think we're definitely making faster progress on the bottom than we did on the top. I think I'm paying a little bit more attention to my placement, which helps. I also did mix my plaster quite a bit thicker, which I think also helps. Go. Now, it is just going to be the 3 days again this week. I am covering a shift for a coworker who's unable to work on Thursday. So we'll get today, we'll get tomorrow, and we'll get Wednesday. But Thursday I will not be here. As always, I'll try and throw some shorts up throughout the weekend, but I don't want to promise anything because if it gets hectic, I don't always have time. As much as I love doing this, this is not what pays my bills. So it can't be my top priority on the weekends. But I'm actually pretty happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and start to transition down. Or up, however you want to look at it. Because the whole goal is to slowly make it to where there's not a bump in the middle. So we are going to have to eventually work over that bump a little bit. Don't you tip over on me. I've got you round enough you'll roll. We're not going to do that. Now, if you guys hear some strange noises, I do have the roll of paper towels sitting literally right behind you. So, I promise there's nothing in my office growling at you that I know of. I do have a few random spirits around, so I don't want to swear that I definitely don't have anybody, but, you know, not that I hear at least. Ooh, that one came out messy. I think we're getting a little bit dry here. Just one second. There we go. Always keep a container of water around when you're working with stuff like this. I'm going to take a peek and see how we're looking from you guys' point of view. I do want to whoop, a little more than I meant to there. There we go. So as you can see, it is starting to soften that bump out a little bit. Well, now I went and made it too watery. Keeping that balance correct is always fun. There we go. And I do apologize for the oddball wet noises. That is also unavoidable occasionally. There we go. And once I laid that over top, I realized I'm not quite as satisfied as I was hoping to be with the thickness of the top. Or bottom, once again. We'll do this one more round here. And I think we might have one more day of working on this ball, because now I'm going to have to let this dry sitting like this before I can flip it back over. But I'm kind of okay with that, because I have made more progress this time than pretty much every other time that I've been working on this thing. We don't want to step too quickly and accidentally end up having to start over again. It's a very strange project I'm working on, but, you know, it's satisfying. Just slowly, slowly getting her where I want her to be. It's a little hard to tell from a distance how thick I'm going with this. Woo! I set my chair down on my hammer and didn't realize it. So if you heard that thump and my little exclamation, that's what you were hearing. It's my chair deciding it did not like sitting on top of my hammer, which is probably a good thing. Hopefully it didn't freak my amazing partner out. Though I think he's kind of accustomed to hearing weird noises from out here at this point. Here we go. Let's make that messy spot go away. I'm also trying to make sure we don't leave any air pockets too big, because those can actually break and cause some major issues. We do want to try and keep things as smooth as possible so that we're not having to work over it too hard. Pardon me for just a moment as I fight with my plaster mixture here. There we go. I know this isn't the most exciting part of the content, but if you'll trust me and trust the process, we're going to get through this, and eventually we're going to get tired of working on just shaping this silly little ball. But in the end, it's going to get where I want it to be. And we've almost got her there. It's going to take probably a little bit more effort, but not too much, because we're starting to get a pretty good shape going. And all we have to do is get the other half to the same type of rounded shape. And the bottom is a little bit trickier because I do have this whole section that is not going to be rounded because it's sitting on a pedestal, but that's okay. And if she's never perfectly 100% round, I can live with that. But as long as she's mostly. I just don't want that huge bump in the middle of it anymore. So, that accomplishes that pretty well. Let's smooth out this section a little bit more here. I know it looks like I'm just petting it, but I promise there is a method to this. I'm just kind of smoothing now, trying to find anything that's not down like it should be. I'm working out some more of those air bubbles. And I'm not too worried about these little pieces that keep sticking up like these. Once it's mostly dry, those will actually wipe right off. So they're not a big concern. But now, once I come in down here and smooth out a little bit more, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a chance. Since I'm doing pretty well on my time here, I think. Yep, we're doing all right. Let's bring you guys back down here. And you can really see the difference that made on the bottom. So now we want to even out the top if we can get away with it. I'm actually quite proud of how well she flipped over. I thought she was going to give me a harder time than that. But we do want to go over top of these pieces kind of hanging down and keep them from falling out. And of course, I'm running out of both plaster and water again, which tells me it's almost time for me to call it a day. But we're going to get a little bit more done here. I just want to even this out and make sure she's not going to fall apart. There we go. It is so much fun to make a mess in the interest of art. You know? Just being messy, and it's excused because it's art. It's just allowed. You gotta love it. seal this down a bit. As I said, I'm probably going to have to come back in just one more time and just thicken up this area a little more. Right now what I'm doing, if you hadn't guessed, is going in and just sealing up anything that could fall in the drying process so that we don't have to worry about that. And once again, smoothing this out is not something I'm super worried about. We'll be able to do that, I think, pretty easily, as you can see. But we do want to make sure we're not going to come out tomorrow with anything just completely stuck in a weird spot or anything. So I want to seal up all our little seams here. I may give this a break and just go ahead and work on my base tomorrow. I have not decided. We're going to see how I feel. I'm sure you guys are ready to see something other than me adding plaster to a slowly growing ball. But there is a reasoning behind it, and there is a method to the madness. Right now we're just using up the excess plaster and making sure she's nice and secure. We don't want to be wasteful. There we go. So I made a wonderful mess. That is definitely for sure. But she's getting rounder, isn't she? I think I might actually be pretty satisfied with it, to be honest. I might have to, as I said, thicken up this top one more layer. But I'm not 100% set on that. I may just send her as she is so that we can move on to the next level. But for now, there's where she sits. She definitely looks a lot better. I am going to put her back on this so that we don't glue to my table. Actually, we're going to flip this over. There we go. We don't want her gluing to the table. That could be bad and definitely not fun. So, hopefully you guys kind of are starting to see where I'm going with this thing. And I think this is as good of a stopping point as any. So I will talk to you guys next time.